Well, afternoon, folks. Welcome to Water and Revelation, or Coffee and Revelation. I don't have time for the coffee just now because I'm heading for the airport. But I wanted to turn to some verses we looked at yesterday, and particularly look at the last one again, because I've been reflecting on it and just realized how significant it is for us and how we're not picking up on this. So we're back to Revelation 12, and I want to stress verse 17. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast to their testimony about Jesus. Now, I think this is particularly significant in the context of where we are in today's culture. Why? First of all, the devil is waging war. He's furious. That's hugely important. But who does he wage war against? He doesn't wage war against those who are on his side. He doesn't wage war against those who are asleep. He wages war against those, two criteria, those who are Christians. And how are Christians described? They are those who keep God's commands and those who hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Now, I've been reading recently a number of Christian publications, including evangelical ones, urging us to have unity together as Christians, which you've got to agree is a good thing. I've just been reading Thomas Manton saying we shouldn't be splitting over secondary issues or minor things. And I've been reading the history of the church where there have been so many splits. And yet this call to unity echoes somewhat falsely, because we can only have unity if we are actually Christians. So I can take two examples. One is the Diocese of the Southern Cross. Now, for those of you who don't know, this has been set up by GAFCON, the Anglican organisation in Australia, to provide support for Anglican churches and clergy and others who don't want to remain under the authority of a bishop who denies biblical or Christian teaching. Now, there's been a huge fuss about this. Our so-called nice liberal friends are saying, oh, no, we must stay united, but if you don't, you're a cult. The level of the attack is quite vicious. And then there's our old friend Steve Chalk, who's recently tweeted out an astonishing thing. God's pronouns is they, them, arguing that the Trinity is transgender. Now, what can you say about this? People say, oh, you shouldn't say they're not Christians. We're just disagreeing on some issues, but, we all claim the name of Christ, so surely that's it. Not according to this. The devil wages war on those who keep God's commands. If you deny God's commands about marriage, as Chalk does, and as the heretical bishops in some areas of the Anglican Church, thankfully not in the area I am, in the Sydney Diocese, which, by the way, is always classed as extreme. But if you go against the teaching of Christ on marriage, you go against the teaching of God on marriage, then you're going against God. How can you claim to be a Christian? A Christian is someone who follows Christ. Chalk, for example, wrote a book called The Lost Message of Jesus, in which, amongst other things, he suggested that Jesus could have got some things wrong. And if only Jesus had our knowledge and our enlightenment, then, well, he would have phrased it differently. I think the arrogance and blasphemy of that is utterly outstanding. It's just appalling. So you hold fast to the commands of God. And at the end of the day, I don't care what the society says. I'm not going to turn away from the commands of God. And they hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God. That won't go down well in some Islamic societies. You could lose your life for testifying that. Jesus is the only Saviour of the world. That doesn't go down well in Western liberal democracies. Jesus is the person whom we are to love and serve above all others. That may not go down well with some in our families and others, but that's what a Christian is. Someone who keeps God's commands and someone who knows and loves and serves Jesus. You do that, the dragon's going to be enraged against you. you go along in the world, no matter how religious you may appear to be, and no matter how many religious words you may use, and no matter how many times you repeat the mantra of Jesus, love, Jesus, love, Jesus, love, the devil won't come near you because you're no threat, because you're already on his side. This is serious stuff. Well, bless you, and shall see you tomorrow, hopefully from Brisbane. I'm sorry if the sound quality on this isn't as good as normal, but I've had to record this in my office up in Moore College just before heading for the airport. But what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thought that we belong to Christ. And even though the devil wages war against us, he won't defeat us. Obey God's commands and hold fast to the testimony of Jesus. Not a bad model for the day. Bye.